Complaining often feels harmless. It can seem like a natural reaction to stress, disappointment, or difficulty. When things go wrong, the first instinct for many people is to talk about what is unfair, what is missing, or who is responsible for their problems. Yet few realize that constant complaining slowly drains emotional, mental, and even physical energy. Every complaint reinforces negativity inside the mind, turning temporary challenges into permanent burdens. Energy is one of the most valuable resources a person possesses. It determines how we think, how we act, and how we respond to life's opportunities. When someone repeatedly complains, their attention becomes fixed on obstacles rather than possibilities. The brain begins to search for more reasons to feel dissatisfied. Small inconveniences appear bigger than they really are, and daily frustrations start to feel overwhelming. Instead of feeling motivated to improve circumstances, a person becomes tired before even attempting change. Complaining also creates a cycle that feeds itself. The more someone complains, the more they notice things worth complaining about. The mind becomes trained to scan for faults, mistakes, and disappointments. Even moments of happiness lose their impact because negativity dominates attention. Over time, this habit reshapes perception, making life appear harsher and more unfair than it truly is. What began as occasional frustration turns into a mindset that blocks optimism and progress. Another hidden cost of complaining is emotional exhaustion. Negative thoughts trigger stress responses in the body. When a person constantly revisits problems through complaint, the brain reacts as if the problem is happening repeatedly in real time. Stress hormones remain elevated, leading to fatigue, irritability, and reduced motivation. Instead of conserving strength to face challenges, energy is consumed by repeated expressions of dissatisfaction. Complaining can also weaken personal confidence. When people focus mainly on what is wrong, they unconsciously convince themselves that they are powerless. Statements like, "nothing ever works for me," or "life is always difficult," become internal beliefs. These beliefs reduce the willingness to try new approaches or take risks. A person who constantly complains may begin to feel stuck, not because opportunities are absent, but because their mindset has limited their ability to see solutions. Relationships are affected as well. While everyone needs to share struggles occasionally, constant complaining can push others away. And colleagues and family members may initially offer support, but repeated negativity can become emotionally draining for those around them. People naturally gravitate toward individuals who inspire hope and positivity. When conversations revolve only around problems, connections may weaken, leaving the complainer feeling isolated, which then leads to even more complaining. Complaining also steals time. Minutes spent repeating frustrations could instead be used for reflection, planning, or action. Time is finite, and every moment spent dwelling on dissatisfaction is a moment not invested in growth or improvement. Even small shifts in focus can make a difference. Instead of repeatedly describing a problem, asking what can be learned or changed redirects energy toward progress. It is important to understand that avoiding complaints does not mean ignoring difficulties or pretending life is perfect. Challenges are real, and emotions deserve acknowledgement. The difference lies in how those emotions are handled. Expressing feelings once to gain clarity is healthy. Repeating complaints without seeking solutions keeps a person trapped. Awareness transforms reaction into choice. When individuals reduce complaining, they often notice an immediate increase in mental clarity. Energy that was once scattered across frustrations becomes available for creativity and problem solving. The mind becomes calmer, more focused, and better equipped to handle obstacles. Instead of feeling defeated by circumstances, people begin to recognize their capacity to respond constructively. Shifting away from complaining requires conscious effort. The habit is deeply rooted because it offers temporary emotional relief. However, real relief comes from empowerment rather than repetition of negativity. One helpful approach is to pause before speaking and ask whether the words being said will improve the situation or simply repeat dissatisfaction. This moment of awareness interrupts automatic patterns and opens space for more productive thinking. Replacing complaints with constructive thoughts does not mean suppressing emotion. It means redirecting energy. For example, turning "this situation is terrible" into "what step can I take next?" transforms frustration into movement. Even small actions restore a sense of control. Progress, no matter how gradual, generates motivation and hope. Gratitude plays an important role in conserving energy as well. When individuals intentionally notice what is working in their lives, The brain balances negative experiences with positive awareness. This shift reduces emotional fatigue and strengthens resilience. Gratitude does not eliminate problems, but it prevents them from dominating the entire mental landscape. Over time, reducing complaints changes how challenges are experienced. Difficult situations remain, yet they no longer feel overwhelming. Because energy is directed toward adaptation rather than resistance, people become more solution-oriented, more patient, and more emotionally stable. They begin to realize that while circumstances are not always controllable, their response always is. The transformation is gradual but powerful. As complaining decreases, motivation increases, conversations become more meaningful, relationships grow stronger, and personal confidence expands. Energy once lost to negativity becomes fuel for growth, creativity, and purposeful action. Life begins to feel lighter, not because problems disappear, but because the weight of constant dissatisfaction is lifted, allowing focus to return to possibilities, learning, and forward movement without the constant drain of repeated complaint and emotional exhaustion that quietly limits potential and slows personal progress every single day. Gratitude has the power to completely change how a person experiences life. Many people believe happiness comes after achieving success, gaining wealth, or solving every problem they face. However, gratitude teaches the opposite lesson. Peace and contentment begin when a person learns to appreciate what already exists in their life. When gratitude replaces complaining, perspective shifts from scarcity to abundance, and ordinary moments start to carry deeper meaning. Human beings naturally notice what is missing rather than what is present. The mind is wired to detect problems because survival once depended on recognizing danger. In modern life, this tendency often causes individuals to focus on inconveniences, disappointments, or comparisons with others. Gratitude interrupts this pattern by training the brain to recognize blessings that are easily overlooked. Simple things such as health, family, opportunities, and even small moments of calm become sources of comfort and strength. When a person practices gratitude, emotional balance begins to improve. Instead of feeling constantly dissatisfied, they experience appreciation for the present moment. This appreciation does not deny hardship. Rather, it allows a person to see that difficulties exist alongside blessings. Someone facing challenges may still acknowledge the support they receive, the lessons they learn, or the resilience they develop. This balanced perspective reduces emotional heaviness and creates inner stability. Gratitude also reshapes thought patterns. The brain strengthens the pathways it uses most often. When someone repeatedly complains, neural pathways connected to negativity grow stronger, and someone repeatedly complains, neural pathways connected to negativity grow stronger. Over time, pessimistic thinking becomes automatic. Gratitude works in the opposite direction. By consciously noticing positive aspects of life, individuals build mental habits that encourage optimism and hope. Eventually, appreciation becomes more natural than complaint. Another powerful effect of gratitude is its ability to reduce comparison. Much dissatisfaction comes from measuring personal success against others. Social media, societal expectations, and cultural pressure often create unrealistic standards. Gratitude redirects attention inward, encouraging people to value their unique journey rather than competing with someone else's story. When individuals appreciate their own progress, they experience greater self-acceptance and emotional freedom. Gratitude strengthens relationships as well. People naturally feel valued when appreciation is expressed. A simple acknowledgement of kindness, effort, or support deepens emotional connections. When gratitude becomes part of daily communication, relationships grow warmer and more supportive. Instead of focusing on what others fail to do, individuals begin recognizing what others contribute. This shift transforms interactions, creating an environment built on respect and positivity. Practicing gratitude also improves resilience during difficult times. Life inevitably includes loss, uncertainty, and hardship. Without gratitude, challenges can feel unbearable because attention remains fixed solely on pain. Gratitude provides emotional grounding by reminding individuals that even in hardship, something meaningful remains. It encourages patience and faith that difficult moments are temporary parts of a larger journey. Many people assume gratitude requires extraordinary circumstances, but its true strength lies in simplicity. It can begin with small acknowledgements, appreciating a quiet morning, a helpful conversation, or the ability to learn from mistakes. These small recognitions gradually reshape emotional awareness. Over time, individuals become more present, noticing beauty and meaning in everyday experiences that once passed unnoticed. Gratitude also changes how success is defined. Instead of constantly chasing future achievements for happiness, individuals learn to find satisfaction in growth and effort. Goals remain important, but they no longer determine self-worth. A grateful person works toward improvement while appreciating the process itself. This mindset reduces anxiety about outcomes and increases enjoyment of the journey. Scientific research has shown that gratitude positively influences mental and physical health. Appreciative thinking lowers stress levels, improves sleep quality, and enhances overall well-being. When individuals focus on what they are thankful for, the body responds with relaxation rather than tension. Emotional calmness strengthens decision-making abilities and helps individuals respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Gratitude also encourages generosity. When people recognize how much they have received, they naturally feel motivated to give back. Acts of kindness, support, and compassion become expressions of appreciation. Giving to others reinforces feelings of purpose and connection, creating a cycle where gratitude and generosity continuously strengthen each other. Developing gratitude requires intentional practice. It may feel unfamiliar at first, especially for those accustomed to focusing on problems. One effective approach is pausing daily to reflect on moments worth appreciating. Writing them down or quietly acknowledging them helps anchor attention on positivity. Over time, this habit reshapes emotional responses, making appreciation a natural reaction rather than a forced exercise. Gratitude does not eliminate ambition or prevent improvement. Instead, it provides a stable emotional foundation from which growth becomes healthier and more sustainable. A grateful person strives for better while remaining content with the present. This balance prevents burnout and protects emotional well-being. As gratitude becomes a consistent mindset, life begins to feel richer and more meaningful. Ordinary experiences gain emotional depth, relationships grow stronger, and challenges feel more manageable. The constant search for fulfillment outside oneself gradually fades, replaced by an awareness that many sources of happiness already exist within daily life. Complaints lose their power because appreciation fills the mental space once occupied by dissatisfaction, allowing perspective to expand and transforming how reality is experienced through awareness, acceptance, and genuine appreciation for the countless blessings that quietly shape every moment of existence. Many people fall into the habit of blaming circumstances, other people, or past experiences for the condition of their lives. When things go wrong, it feels easier to point outward rather than look inward. Complaining often grows from this mindset because blame creates temporary comfort. It allows a person to avoid responsibility for change. However, real growth begins the moment an individual accepts responsibility for their life, their choices, and their responses to every situation they face. Taking responsibility does not mean blaming oneself harshly or ignoring genuine difficulties. Life includes unfair situations, unexpected hardships, and challenges beyond personal control. Responsibility simply means recognizing that while events may not always be chosen, reactions always are. This awareness shifts a person from feeling powerless to realizing they have influence over their direction and future. When someone refuses responsibility, progress becomes impossible. If every problem is caused by others, then improvement depends entirely on others changing first. This mindset keeps individuals waiting, frustrated, and stuck. Responsibility removes that waiting. It empowers people to act regardless of circumstances. Instead of asking why life is difficult, they begin asking what steps they can take to improve their condition. Personal responsibility starts with honest self-reflection. It requires the courage to evaluate habits, decisions, and attitudes without excuses. Many people avoid this process because it feels uncomfortable. Acknowledging mistakes challenges the ego and forces confrontation with personal weaknesses. Yet this discomfort is the doorway to transformation. Without awareness, there can be no meaningful change. Without awareness, there can be no meaningful change. Owning one's actions strengthens self-respect. When individuals admit errors and learn from them, they build trust within themselves. They begin to see themselves as capable of growth rather than victims of circumstance. Confidence grows not from perfection, but from accountability. Each time a person accepts responsibility and makes an adjustment, they reinforce the belief that improvement is possible. Responsibility also changes how challenges are perceived. Instead of viewing obstacles as punishments, individuals begin to see them as opportunities for learning. Difficult experiences become lessons rather than barriers. A failed attempt becomes feedback. A setback becomes preparation. This mindset transforms adversity into a teacher rather than an enemy. Another important aspect of responsibility is emotional ownership. Many people believe others control their feelings. They say someone made them angry or caused their sadness. While external events influence emotion, personal interpretation determines emotion. Accepting emotional responsibility allows individuals to regulate reactions more effectively. They learn to pause, reflect, and respond thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. Responsibility also involves recognizing the power of daily choices. Life rarely changes through one dramatic moment. It evolves through small decisions repeated consistently. Choosing discipline over procrastination, kindness over resentment, and effort over avoidance gradually shapes outcomes. When people understand that their habits build their future, they begin to approach everyday actions with greater intention. Blaming external factors often hides fear of failure. If success depends solely on circumstances, then personal effort feels less necessary. Responsibility challenges this fear by demanding action. It encourages individuals to try, learn, and grow even when outcomes are uncertain. Taking ownership of effort rather than guaranteeing results creates resilience and perseverance. Relationships improve when responsibility becomes a guiding principle. Conflicts often escalate because each person focuses on the other's faults. When individuals accept responsibility for their words, tone, and behavior, communication becomes healthier. Apologizing when wrong, listening sincerely, and adjusting behavior strengthens trust and mutual respect. Responsibility replaces defensiveness with maturity. Accepting responsibility also fosters independence. Instead of relying on constant validation or rescue from others, individuals develop inner strength. They understand that while support from others is valuable, personal growth ultimately depends on their own commitment. This independence creates emotional stability and reduces feelings of helplessness. Responsibility encourages proactive thinking. Rather than reacting to life's events after problems appear, individuals begin planning ahead. They prepare, learn new skills, and anticipate challenges. This forward-thinking mindset increases confidence because people feel ready to face uncertainty. Preparation reduces anxiety and enhances a sense of control over life's direction. One of the most powerful outcomes of responsibility is freedom. At first glance, responsibility may seem heavy, but in reality it liberates. When individuals stop blaming circumstances, they reclaim control over their choices. Freedom emerges from the realization that growth is always possible regardless of starting point. Taking responsibility also strengthens character. Integrity develops when actions align with values. Individuals who hold themselves accountable become more reliable, disciplined, and trustworthy. These qualities attract opportunities and positive relationships because others recognize consistency and sincerity. The journey toward responsibility requires patience. Habits of blame and complaint may have formed over many years. Change begins with small moments of awareness, pausing before blaming, reflecting before reacting, and choosing improvement over excuse-making. Each conscious decision reinforces personal empowerment. As responsibility becomes a consistent mindset, life feels less chaotic and more purposeful. Challenges still exist, but they no longer define identity. Individuals recognize their ability to adapt, learn, and move forward. Instead of waiting for perfect circumstances, they begin creating progress through intentional action, self-awareness, and accountability, transforming everyday experiences into opportunities for growth while steadily building a life shaped by conscious choices rather than uncontrolled reactions or external blame. Many people spend a large portion of their lives focusing on problems rather than solutions. When difficulties appear, the mind naturally begins analyzing what went wrong, who is responsible, and why the situation feels unfair. While understanding problems is necessary, remaining stuck in problem-focused thinking drains motivation and delays progress. A solution-oriented mindset transforms challenges from sources of stress into opportunities for action and growth. Problems are an inevitable part of life. Every person faces setbacks, disappointments, and unexpected obstacles. The difference between those who remain stuck and those who move forward lies in their response. Individuals who focus only on problems often replay negative scenarios repeatedly in their minds. This repetition creates emotional heaviness and reinforces helplessness. Instead of moving toward improvement, they become trapped in cycles of frustration. Focusing on solutions begins with shifting questions. Rather than asking, why is this happening to me? A solution-oriented person asks, what can I do now? The small change redirects mental energy away from blame and toward possibility. The brain begins searching for actions rather than explanations, and even small actions restore a sense of control. Problem-focused thinking tends to exaggerate difficulty. When attention remains fixed on obstacles, challenges appear larger than they actually are. Fear grows, confidence decreases, and hesitation replaces action. A solution-focused approach breaks this pattern by dividing large problems into manageable steps. Each step completed builds momentum, proving that progress is possible even when circumstances seem overwhelming. One reason people remain stuck in problems is the desire for certainty. Solutions often require experimentation, risk, and patience. The outcome may not be guaranteed, and uncertainty can feel uncomfortable. Complaining about the problem may feel safer because it avoids potential failure. However, growth always involves uncertainty. Taking action, even imperfect action, opens pathways that complaint never can. A solution-oriented mindset encourages creativity. When individuals stop repeating what is wrong, they free mental space for innovation and fresh ideas. Creativity thrives when attention shifts from limitation to possibility. New perspectives emerge, alternative approaches become visible, and hidden opportunities reveal themselves. Often the solution was present all along but remained unnoticed because attention was locked onto the problem. Emotional control also improves when focusing on solutions. Problems trigger stress, anxiety, and frustration. These emotions can cloud judgment and reduce clarity. Taking practical steps toward resolution calms the mind because action replaces rumination. Propellant spine. Even small progress reduces emotional intensity and restores confidence. Solution-focused thinking does not mean ignoring emotions or rushing decisions. It involves acknowledging difficulty while refusing to remain defined by it. Healthy reflection examines what can be learned rather than dwelling on what cannot be changed. Acceptance becomes the starting point for improvement rather than resignation. Another important aspect of focusing on solutions is adaptability. Life rarely follows a perfect plan, and unexpected challenges require flexibility. A solution-oriented person adjusts strategies instead of giving up when initial efforts fail. They understand that failure is not final but informative. Each attempt provides feedback that guides the next step. Communication improves when individuals emphasize solutions. Conversations centered solely on problems often spread negativity and frustration. When people discuss possible actions, collaboration becomes easier. Teams, families, and communities function no more effectively when members contribute ideas rather than complaints. Solution-focused dialogue inspires cooperation and shared responsibility. Personal growth accelerates through this mindset because individuals learn to view challenges as temporary puzzles rather than permanent barriers. Confidence increases with every resolved difficulty. Over time, individuals develop trust in their ability to handle future challenges, reducing fear of the unknown. Focusing on solutions also strengthens resilience. Life difficulties no longer feel like personal attacks, but opportunities to practice problem-solving skills. Resilient individuals do not avoid hardship, they engage with it constructively. They learn to remain calm under pressure, evaluate options carefully, and act decisively, even in uncertain circumstances. A practical way to cultivate solution-focused thinking is to limit the time spent complaining, allow space to acknowledge frustration, then intentionally shift toward action, asking constructive questions such as, what is one small step I can take today? Helps redirect attention. Progress often begins with simple actions rather than dramatic changes. Another helpful approach is learning from others who demonstrate solution-oriented behavior. Observing how effective individuals respond to challenges provides valuable insight. They rarely waste energy on blame. Instead, they gather information, adapt quickly, and maintain forward movement. Modeling these behaviors strengthens one's own problem-solving ability. Focusing on solutions also nurtures optimism grounded in reality. This optimism is not blind positivity but confidence built through action. Individuals begin to believe that challenges can be addressed because they repeatedly experience the results of proactive effort. Hope becomes practical rather than abstract. Over time, the habit of seeking solutions transforms daily life. Obstacles lose their power to intimidate because they are viewed as tasks rather than threats. Energy once consumed by worry becomes available for progress and creativity. Individuals feel more capable, more focused, and more engaged with their goals. The shift from problem-focused thinking to solution-focused living requires consistent practice. Old habits of complaint may return during stressful moments, but awareness allows redirection. Each decision to seek improvement instead of dwelling on difficulty strengthens mental discipline. Gradually, the mind becomes trained to move toward action automatically, allowing challenges to become stepping stones that encourage learning, adaptability, and continuous forward movement driven by determination and purposeful effort. A large portion of human stress comes from trying to control things that were never meant to be controlled. People often exhaust themselves worrying about outcomes, other people's opinions, past mistakes, or future uncertainties. Complaints frequently arise when pray hard, pray with conviction. You refuses to match expectations. Learning to control what can be controlled, what releasing what cannot is one of the most powerful shifts a person can make toward peace and emotional freedom. Life constantly presents situations beyond personal influence. Weather changes, unexpected delays occur, people behave unpredictably, and circumstances evolve without warning. When individuals resist these realities, frustration grows. The mind repeatedly asks why things did not go according to plan, creating tension that drains emotional energy. Accepting limits of control does not mean giving up. It means directing effort toward areas where action truly matters. The first step in this transformation is understanding the difference between influence and control. Control belongs to personal actions, choices, effort, attitude, and response. Influence may exist over relationships or outcomes, but it is never absolute. Recognizing this distinction prevents unnecessary disappointment. Instead of trying to manage every external factor, individuals learn to invest energy where it produces meaningful results. Many complaints originate from expectations placed on others. People hope others will behave in certain ways, understand their feelings perfectly, or meet personal standards without communication. When these expectations are unmet, frustration follows. Releasing the need to control others allows relationships to become healthier and more realistic. Individuals begin to focus on their own behavior rather than attempting to reshape someone else's personality. Letting go of uncontrollable situations also reduces anxiety about the future. The human mind often imagines worst-case scenarios, attempting to predict and prepare for every possibility. While planning is useful, excessive worry about unknown outcomes creates mental exhaustion. Accepting uncertainty allows individuals to remain present, responding to events as they unfold rather than suffering through imagined problems. Control over personal reactions is often underestimated. While external events cannot always be chosen, emotional responses can be guided through awareness and practice. Pausing before reacting creates space for thoughtful decision making. Instead of responding with anger, fear, or complaint, individuals can choose patience, understanding, or constructive action. This shift restores a sense of empowerment because emotional stability becomes internally generated rather than externally dependent. Releasing control also encourages resilience. When people cling tightly to specific outcomes, setbacks feel devastating. Flexibility allows adaptation when plans change. Individuals who accept uncertainty are better prepared to adjust strategies, learn from experience, and continue moving forward without losing motivation. Resilience grows when success is measured by effort rather than guaranteed results. Another important aspect of letting go is releasing attachment to the past. Many individuals carry regret, replaying mistakes repeatedly and wishing circumstances had unfolded differently. This mental habit consumes energy that could be used for growth. The past cannot be changed, but lessons extracted from it can shape wiser decisions. Acceptance frees the mind from constant re-examination of events that no longer exist. Trust plays a central role in releasing control. Trust may involve faith in personal abilities, confidence in the process of growth, or belief that challenges contribute to development. Without trust, letting go feels frightening because uncertainty appears threatening. With trust, uncertainty becomes an open space filled with possibility rather than danger. Learning to release control does not eliminate responsibility. In fact, it sharpens responsibility. By clarifying where effort should be directed, instead of spreading energy thinly across uncontrollable factors, individuals concentrate on improving skills, strengthening character, and maintaining positive habits. Productivity increases because attention remains aligned with actionable areas. Physical and emotional well-being improve when control is balanced. Constant tension from trying to manage everything leads to burnout. Relaxation emerges when individuals accept that perfection is neither achievable nor necessary. Segment rest becomes easier. Decision making becomes clearer and emotional reactions become less intense. Letting go also deepens self-awareness. Individuals begin noticing patterns in their thoughts and behaviors, identifying moments when control becomes excessive. Awareness allows gentle correction, guiding attention back to the present moment and available choices. Over time, this practice becomes natural, reducing emotional reactivity. Relationships benefit greatly from this mindset. When people stop attempting to control outcomes or others' reactions, communication becomes more authentic. Listening improves because conversations are no longer driven by the need to win or dominate. Acceptance creates space for empathy, patience, and mutual understanding. A helpful practice is asking a simple question during stressful moments: is this within my control? If the answer is yes, action can be taken immediately. If the answer is no, acceptance becomes the wiser response. This habit prevents unnecessary emotional investment in situations that cannot be changed. Gradually, individuals discover that peace does not come from controlling everything, but from mastering their response to anything. Life remains unpredictability, yet unpredictability no longer feels overwhelming. Energy previously lost to resistance becomes available for creativity, learning, and meaningful engagement with daily experiences. As acceptance deepens, complaints lose their intensity because expectations align more closely with reality. Individuals begin to appreciate effort over outcome and presence over perfection. By directing focus toward controllable actions while releasing attachment to uncontrollable circumstances, emotional balance strengthens, clarity increases, and life becomes guided by intention rather than frustration, allowing growth to unfold naturally through patience. Awareness and consistent personal effort directed toward what truly lies within one's power. The words a person speaks every day carry more power than most people realize. Speech is not only a way of communicating with others, it is also a reflection of internal thinking and a tool that shapes personal reality. Positive speech builds a positive life because language influences emotions, mindset, relationships, and even future decisions. When individuals constantly complain, criticize, or speak negatively, they reinforce a mindset of limitation. When they choose uplifting and constructive words, they begin creating an environment where growth and optimism can flourish. Language directly affects the brain. Every spoken word strengthens certain patterns of thought. Repeated negative expressions such as "I can't," "nothing works," or "everything is bad" gradually become internal beliefs. Or everything is bad gradually become internal beliefs. The brain accepts these statements as truth and adjusts behavior accordingly. Motivation decreases, creativity fades, and confidence weakens. Positive speech interrupts this cycle by introducing empowering language that encourages possibility and resilience. Positive speech does not mean ignoring reality or pretending difficulties do not exist. Instead, it involves describing situations in ways that allow hope and action. For example, saying, "This is challenging, but I will find a way." Acknowledges difficulty while maintaining determination. Such language guides the mind towards solutions rather than surrender. Self-talk is one of the most influential forms of speech. People speak to themselves constantly, often without awareness. Inner dialogue shapes emotional experiences more than external circumstances. Harsh self-criticism creates anxiety and discouragement, while supportive self-talk builds confidence and perseverance. Individuals who learn to speak kindly and constructively to themselves develop stronger emotional resilience and greater willingness to face challenges. Positive speech also transforms relationships. Words have the ability to heal or harm, encourage or discourage. Complaining, gossiping, or speaking harshly creates tension and distance between people. Encouraging words, appreciation, and respectful communication strengthen trust and connection. When individuals choose uplifting language, they contribute to an atmosphere where others feel valued and understood. Another powerful effect of positive speech is its influence on emotional regulation. Negative language intensifies negative emotions. Repeating complaints magnifies frustration and anger, making situations feel worse than they truly are. Choosing calmer, solution-oriented words reduces emotional intensity and allows clearer thinking. Language becomes a tool for managing feelings rather than amplifying them. Positive speech encourages personal accountability as well. When people avoid blaming language and instead focus on constructive expressions, they naturally begin taking responsibility for improvement. Saying, I will try again, or I can learn from this, promotes growth, while statements of defeat reinforce stagnation. Words shape expectations, and expectations influence behavior. The environment created by speech extends beyond personal mindset. Families, workplaces, and communities are deeply affected by the tone of communication used within them. A single person who consistently speaks with optimism and encouragement can shift the emotional atmosphere of an entire group. Positivity spreads because people naturally respond to hopeful energy. Gratitude is an essential element of positive speech. Expressing appreciation regularly trains the mind to notice blessings rather than shortcomings. Thanking others, acknowledging progress, and recognizing effort foster emotional warmth and strengthen bonds. Gratitude expressed aloud reinforces positive thinking both for the speaker and the listener. Positive speech also enhances problem-solving ability. When individuals frame challenges constructively, they remain open to creative solutions. Negative language narrows thinking, causing people to overlook opportunities. Encouraging language expands perspective, helping individuals approach difficulties with curiosity instead of fear. Consistency is important in developing positive speech. Occasional encouraging words are helpful, but lasting change occurs when constructive language becomes habitual. This requires awareness of everyday conversations and intentional correction of negative expressions. Replacing complaints with thoughtful observations gradually reshape communication patterns. Listening plays a role as well. Positive speech includes choosing what kind of language one allows into their environment. Surrounding oneself with individuals who speak constructively reinforces healthy communication habits. Exposure to constant negativity can influence mindset, while supportive dialogue promotes emotional balance. Sizing positive speech often begins with small adjustments. Pausing before speaking allows individuals to consider whether their words contribute to growth or simply express frustration. Reframing statements into constructive language strengthens mental discipline. Over time, positivity becomes natural rather than forced. Positive speech also builds hope during difficult moments. Words can remind individuals of their strength, progress, and potential even when circumstances feel overwhelming. Encouragement becomes a source of inner stability, helping individuals remain focused on long-term goals instead of temporary setbacks. As individuals develop our awareness of their language, they begin recognizing how deeply words influence daily experiences. Conversations become more meaningful, self-confidence grows, and emotional resilience strengthens. The habit of speaking positively transforms not only how others perceive them, but also how they perceive themselves. Gradually, positive speech reshapes identity. Individuals move from seeing themselves as victims of circumstance to active participants in their own growth. Language becomes aligned with purpose, reinforcing motivation and determination. Through consistent use of constructive words, people cultivate optimism, strengthen relationships, and create a mindset prepared to face challenges with courage, patience, and unwavering belief in the possibility of improvement through intentional communication and conscious expression of thoughts and emotions. Many people remain stuck in dissatisfaction, not because they lack ability or opportunity, but because they stay trapped in inaction. Complaining creates the illusion of engagement with life while quietly preventing real progress. Action, on the other hand, transforms intention into experience. Happiness and fulfillment are rarely found through waiting, overthinking, or wishing for change. They emerge when individuals begin moving forward, even with small and imperfect steps. Action breaks the cycle of helplessness. When individuals constantly analyze problems without taking steps toward improvement, the mind becomes overwhelmed. Thoughts repeat endlessly, creating anxiety and doubt. Taking action interrupts this mental loop. Even a small effort sends a powerful message to the brain that progress is possible. Movement replaces stagnation and confidence begins to grow through experience rather than imagination. One of the biggest barriers to action is fear. People often wait for perfect conditions. Complete certainty, or guaranteed success before beginning. They worry about failure, judgment, or making mistakes. However, perfection is an illusion that delays growth. Action teaches lessons that planning alone never can. Every attempt provides feedback, guiding improvement and strengthening resilience. Action also builds momentum. Starting is usually the hardest part because resistance feels strongest at the beginning. Once movement begins, motivation naturally increases. Progress generates energy, and energy fuels further progress. This cycle transforms effort into habit. Individuals who consistently act, even in small ways, gradually create significant change over time. Complaining focuses attention on what cannot be changed immediately, while action concentrates on what can be improved now. This shift empowers individuals to reclaim control over their lives. Instead of waiting for external circumstances to improve, they begin shaping their environment through intentional effort. Action turns passive hope into active creation. Another powerful aspect of action is its effect on self-confidence. Confidence is often misunderstood as a prerequisite for success, but in reality, confidence develops through repeated action. Each compliment, a task, each step forward reinforces belief in personal ability. Individuals learn to trust themselves because they witness their own progress firsthand. Action also reduces overthinking. Many people become trapped in endless analysis, imagining every possible outcome before making the decision. While thoughtful planning is valuable, excessive thinking often leads to paralysis. Taking action shifts focus from speculation to experience. Real-world engagement provides clarity that endless reflection cannot achieve. Growth occurs outside comfort zones. Action required stepping into unfamiliar territory where uncertainty exists. Although discomfort may arise, it signals expansion and learning. Avoiding discomfort keeps life predictable but limits potential. Those who act despite uncertainty discover strengths and opportunities previously hidden behind hesitation. Action fosters responsibility and discipline. When individuals commit to consistent effort, they begin aligning daily behavior with long-term goals. Discipline replaces procrastination, and purposeful routines emerge. Over time, these routines create stability and direction, transforming aspirations into achievable outcomes. Relationships also benefit from action-oriented living. Showing appreciation, offering help, or initiating meaningful conversation strengthens connections more effectively than merely thinking about doing so. Action demonstrates care and commitment, deepening trust and mutual respect. Positive intentions gain value only when expressed through behavior. Action encourages learning through experience. Mistakes become teachers rather than sources of shame. Individuals who act regularly develop adaptability because they encounter diverse situations that require problem solving. This experience of learning builds wisdom and prepares individuals for future challenges. Another important result of action is the creation of purpose. Many people search endlessly for meaning while remaining inactive. Purpose often reveals itself through engagement rather than contemplation. By participating actively in life, individuals discover passions, talents, and values that give direction to their journey. Action also strengthens emotional well-being. Physical movement, productive work, and creative effort release positive energy within the body and mind. Accomplishment generates satisfaction that complaining never provides. Instead of feeling trapped by circumstances, individuals experience a sense of progress and achievement. Consistency matters more than intensity. Dramatic efforts followed by long periods of inactivity rarely produce lasting change. Small daily actions accumulate into powerful results. Reading a few pages, improving one habit, or taking one constructive step each day gradually transforms life. Persistence outweighs perfection. Taking action does not eliminate challenges or guarantee immediate success. Difficulties remain part of the journey. However, individuals who act develop resilience because they learn to recover quickly from setbacks. They understand that progress is rarely linear and that persistence eventually leads to improvement. Action also reshapes identity. Individuals begin to see themselves as capable, proactive, and responsible for their growth. This self-perception influences future decisions, encouraging further initiative. Over time, action becomes a natural response rather than a forced effort. Living fully requires participation rather than observation. Opportunities appear more frequently to those already moving forward because engagement increases awareness and readiness. By choosing action over complaint, individuals transform intention into reality, replacing hesitation with progress and discovery. End gene fulfillment through continuous effort, meaningful participation, and the courage to move forward regardless of uncertainty or imperfect conditions.